Can we please talk about UFC 268 coming our way live from Madison Square Garden this weekend? It's going to be a real fun night of fights. And I would just like to take a moment to say thank you to Dana White and the UFC for just, they've got two numbered events on back-to-back. The strength of schedule with that organisation is nothing short of remarkable. And all those people that shit talk on Dana White, calling themselves UFC fans, you're a bunch of idiots. You really are. Joey, you need to have a word with yourselves. The UFC would not exist in the form that we know it without Dana White. Okay, there are a lot of other people that work hard behind the scenes as well, but Dana White has done a tremendous job with that. And you know what? A lot of people, all they do is just like talk shit on him. You know, it's kind of like the Nickelback of promoters, isn't he? People like, it's popular to hate on him, so people do. Enough of it. Anyway, thanks Dana White. Thanks to the UFC. So yeah. If you're new to this show, welcome. If you're returning, I'm sorry for all the times that I've steered you wrong. And I'm sure every time that I've steered you right, it was a complete fluke, I assure you, because these bets are terrible and they're coming thick and fast. And that's what I like. I like to keep those odds long. I like to keep the stakes low. That's important. Only bet within your means, guys, for the love of God. Like, if you want to try and get rich from gambling, it's likely not going to happen. If you want to get rich from gambling, become a bookmaker. Do that, all right? But I bet for fun, and so should you. And this one, there are some fun bets. There's seriously some value on some of these bets. Like I said, that's what I try and look for. I like to look at odds that are longer than they perhaps should be, because that's all you can do. MMA is honestly so difficult to predict that that's the best thing you can do. So, what I'm going to be doing is spending about 15 minutes or so breaking down some of the fights on this card that I'm going to like. I'm going to highlight a couple of fights that I think you should definitely watch that maybe aren't appearing on the main card. A couple of sleeper fights that are sure to be fights of the night, that at least on paper. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the Burt Locker Fights in 15 for UFC 268. Right, so first off, I want to just give a quick shout out to some of these prelim fighters, right? Now, the one that I've got circled on the prelims, that's just going to be an absolute banger of a fight that you need to definitely make sure you tune in for. Ally Aquenta, Mr. Raging Ally Aquenta making his return against Bobby Green. That's going to be a hell of a fight. Both of them love talking a lot of shit, like especially Bobby Green, just the way he kind of walks people down, and both of their styles, like they're going to be standing, exchanging. Neither of these dudes are going to be backing down. That has got fireworks written all over it. The lightweight division, like stylistically, fights don't come a lot more exciting than that for us UFC fans. We're going to be in for a real treat. Alex Pereira is also making his UFC debut. Now that guy, you may have heard his name because that is the man that knocked out Israel Adesanya in kickboxing. Knocked him out once, he actually beat him twice. He won one by decision, taking on Andreas Michailidis. Anyway, yeah, so Michailidis coming in as an underdog, but we haven't seen Vera in the UFC yet. Maybe there's some value on that one. And then we've also got on the early prelims, he caught my eye. Gian Villante, bless him, he's fighting at heavyweight again. He's not really a heavyweight, he's a light heavyweight who's severely out of shape. And I don't think I'm being unfair in saying that. That is literally like what he is. He looks like Roy Country Nelson at heavyweight. It's ridiculous. But I'm a huge fan of Gian Villante. I don't know how he still has a UFC contract, but I'm glad that he does, because he's fun. He's just one of those fun characters, do you know what I mean? He just likes to get in there and mix it up. Unfortunately, he's going in there against Chris Barnett. Now, Chris Barnett fought Ben Rothwell not too long ago. Came in at short notice. Philip Lins fell out of the fight with Rothwell for like the third time. So Rothwell was like, look, screw it, just give me a fight, give me anyone. They found Chris Barnett on the regional scene, and he didn't do too bad. He got beaten up, but he showed that there were some redeeming qualities. So I'll be quite interested to see. He's coming in as a favourite here. I think that's fair because he's a big dude who can throw. But I'm most interested in the main card here. So let's get into it. First fight on the card: Justin Gaethje against Michael Chandler. Now, Justin Gaethje is coming in as the favourite here. I'm just going to bring up the betting lines on this one. I need to log back in. But yeah, stylistically, this is a great way to kick off the fight. The reason that they changed it to the first fight on the card was because obviously Trevor Whitman coaches Gaethje, Rose Namajunas and Usman, and he wanted just a little bit of a break, bless him, to get kind of people prepped for their respective fights, which is fair enough. And actually, it's a great way to open the main card. You know what I mean? The first fight on the pay-per-view, this one's going to be absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you've got a couple of intrigue. You've got Justin Gaethje to win in round 1 is 3.75. Michael Chandler to win in round 1 is 7.50. Now that might be worth a go. I'm not being funny, because the thing is, if Michael Chandler does finish this, there's a better chance of it happening early than late, I feel. But Michael Chandler, just to get the knockout, is actually 5.5. And that is what I'm trending towards here. Because look, end of the day, Gaethje, he looked phenomenal against Tony Ferguson, but you've got to ask the question, how good is Tony Ferguson really? Like, a lot of people kind of hype Tony Ferguson up to be on this pedestal, and honestly, like, who had he beaten really, really comfortably? The last person he beat really comfortably, where he looked really good, was Rafael dos Anjos, and that was like 2013. Every other fight he kind of made a bit of a meal out of, or it was against somebody that he should be beating. Against Pettis, he was getting lit up in that fight. Tony Ferguson gets hit a lot, and that plays into Gaethje like an absolute dream. Just the matchup fell right into his hands, and I said before that fight that Gaethje is gonna rip Tony Ferguson apart, because Tony Ferguson is just there to be hit. Also, I would say that so is Justin Gaethje. Gaethje, he gets hit a lot. He's tough. He's got cement in that head of his, so he's very tough to put away. I don't think he's ever been flatlined. I think he got stopped by TKO by Dustin Poirier because of the amount of damage he was taking, but he doesn't generally get flatlined. For me, Michael Chandler, I think people are kind of overlooking how good athletically Michael Chandler is. I think Michael Chandler is going to start looking for takedowns, but I don't know if he's necessarily going to get them, but he's at least going to threaten with them. He's going to keep Justin Gaethje thinking about them. Now, Gaethje wants to get this into a war, but I think Michael Chandler, obviously we saw him get knocked out against Oliveira, but everybody gets caught, do you know what I mean? And I feel like Michael Chandler has got some preposterous power on him, and I've got a feeling that Chandler is going to find that knockout. I think he's more than good enough to knock out Justin Gaethje, or at least get the TKO finish. So that's what I'm going for on this one, 5.5. So you've got 4.5 to 1 on the Michael Chandler knockout. And considering Justin Gaethje is going to be more than happy to stand in the pocket, it's not like he's this crazy elusive fighter, like, woo, can't even see me. Do you know what I mean? No, he stands there and he gets hit and he hits back. If he wants to stand and trade power shots with Michael Chandler, I think that could actually go pretty badly for him. And I know he's more intelligent now. He's got Trevor Whitman in his corner, but he's still got that reckless streak in him, because we still saw it against Ferguson. He got caught with that uppercut, and that was because he was just trying to stand and trade with Ferguson. I think if he stands and trades with Michael Chandler, I think Michael Chandler gets the better of that, and that is where my money is going. So boom, banging that on the bet slip. Michael Chandler to win by knockout or TKO. And then you have got obviously, you've got Shane Burgos against Billy Quarantillo. That should be a pretty decent fight, but I think that Burgos wins that one, but only because I don't honestly know that much about Quarantillo. Excuse my ignorance, but I'm not going to pretend that I do know a lot about him, so I'm going to skip straight over onto the Marlon Vera versus Frankie Edgar fight. Now, this one I'm finding interesting because I'm going against the grain here. I think that Frankie Edgar wins this fight, and there are several reasons for that, okay? First one, look, Frankie Edgar, okay, he's been beaten like a few times recently, and people are saying that, yeah, he should have hung it up a little while ago, and maybe they're right, maybe they are right, but what you've got to remember is that Frankie Edgar, he's not like, he's been getting beaten like by knockout by these like kind of big power like strikers. Corey Sandhagen, that flying knee was kind of ridiculous. The Korean Zombie, again, he's just got very, very good power and he got caught. Max Holloway, he dropped a unanimous decision to Max Holloway. No shame in that. Do you know what I mean? Before then, he beat Cub Swanson, but also he beat Pedro Munoz between Zombie and the Corey Sandhagen loss. So he is still finding wins here and there, right? And what I would say is that, is Marlon Vera like the kind of weird, unorthodox flashy striker that Corey Sandhagen is? No, I don't think that he is. I don't think I'm out of my mind in saying that. Marlon Vera is very good. He's like he gets the grind on people. But my question is he going to be able to outwork Frankie Edgar? Now, the only question here is age. Frankie Edgar's obviously getting up there. I don't know how old he actually is, but I can tell you in just one moment, he is 40. Bloody hell. Yeah, so that's the only question here. If this was like 5 years ago and you were asking, is Marlon Vera going to outwork Frankie Edgar? The answer is not even a question. It's not even a question, it's a no, right? Frankie Edgar does not get outworked, not generally speaking. And I don't think that Marlon Vera is the man to outwork him. And I feel like that's how Marlon Vera gets most of his wins, by outworking his opponents. And when he's not going to be able to do that against Frankie Edgar, I like Frankie Edgar as the underdog here. I really do. 2.38. I think that Frankie Edgar most likely will get the decision, but I don't think that Marlon Vera has that one-punch power that is required to put Frankie Edgar away. I don't think that he's going to be busy enough to get ahead of Frankie Edgar on the scorecards. I think Frankie Edgar sneaks in here, gets a decision, and then leaves his gloves in the octagon and then leaves. Only caveat to that is that I'm hoping that he's not already intending to retire regardless of the result, because that could be very bad, because if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, we all know how badly that can go. But my prediction there and my bet is Frankie Edgar to win, any means necessary, because you're getting him as an underdog there. So I'm kind of torn, because obviously the TKO that he got against... Yair Rodriguez was really, really good, and I feel, and Frankie Edgar is always capable of that if he gets the wrestling and the ground and pound. So you've got value there. 7, you've got 6-1 on the TKO. That's not bad, but I'm gonna personally go with the win, any means necessary. Frankie Edgar 2.38. Adding that to the bet slip, that is absolutely terrible. Betting on Frankie Edgar in this day and age. What am I thinking? Am I right? And then you've got Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Weili. Now this one, honestly, I cannot pick a winner, because we just didn't see enough of Zhang Weili in their first fight. Like, obviously, Rose Namajunas, she looked fantastic. She looked phenomenal. That kick was unbelievable. But I would still say that, look, Zhang Weili's probably got a power advantage. This one is a pick 'em, 1-9-1 apiece, all right? Now, I feel like Rose Namajunas probably does have the power advantage, because look, Zhang Weili, sorry, because Rose didn't knock her out with power, remember, it was precision. It was a precision kick, landed at exactly the right time, it was timed perfectly, and that's how she got her out of there. And it wasn't a very long fight. We didn't really see what Zhang Weili is going to be able to do to Rose if she's able to get going. So for me, I'm very reluctant to pick a winner in this one, but what I would say is I think that either fighter to get the TKO or stoppage, 2.25, that's what I'm going with. I don't think it's going to go the distance. It is a 5-round fight after all, and I think that Namajunas has really great precision, and we've seen she's more than capable of putting people away with that precision, with that timing. She has enough power to do it. I feel like Zhang Weili has more knockout power, like raw power to hit with, so I don't see this going the distance. I think either fighter by TKO, knockout or stoppage, 2.25. I'm banging that on the bet slip. May the best woman win. I'm just looking forward to seeing that one. I really have no preference as to who takes it. Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. Wow. I mean, tuning to the press conference yesterday was absolutely amazing. Fantastic suit for Colby Covington. Unbelievable. Colby Covington is so much better at talking trash than Kamaru Usman. All Kamaru Usman kept on basically saying was just like, oh, what, are you gay or something? Huh? You keep talking about my body. Are you gay or something? It's like, yeah, good one, Kamaru. Good, I guess. But yeah, Colby wins the trash talking 10 times out of 10, because people say it's cringeworthy about that, but it's actually quite clever. And we know that it's kind of an act. He's like turning it up, but whatever. It's really great to watch. It's nice to see two guys that really don't like each other. Although I think there's actually quite a bit of mutual respect there. Kind of like Kamaru Usman alluded to it, but Colby's in character, so obviously he's going to say, no, I don't like this. He was calling him Marty Juiceman, the chairman of EPO. I love that. That is so funny. But yeah, I think that honestly, the smart money here has to go on Kamaru Usman. You know, I think. But also, it's going to be a very different fight, because they spent the whole fight kickboxing in the first fight. And I don't think that Colby Covington is necessarily going to be doing that on this occasion, because I just don't think I think he's smart enough to know that he's not winning a kickboxing fight with this new improved striking of Kamaru Usman. I think that Colby Covington, he doesn't necessarily get the takedown, but he at least threatens with it, and he should. I'm not saying that Colby Covington's going to win this fight, but what I would say is that his path to victory here is to outwork Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman's cardio holds up when he dictates the pace of the fight. If Colby Covington wins his fights by putting a pace onto guys that they cannot keep up with. If Colby Covington can find a way to put a pace on Kamaru Usman that he cannot keep up with, then Kamaru Usman is going to get tired. He is only human. Look at all the muscle on him, right? He's like that requires a lot of blood to get pumped round to it. It requires a lot of oxygen, requires a lot of EPO, baby. I'm kidding. There's no evidence of that. But it is funny. And anyway, if Colby Covington can mix in the wrestling, because who's to say Colby Covington can't take Kamaru Usman down? Kamaru Usman has never been taken down, but that's because people are shit scared of his wrestling. No one's ever really tried to take him down. Do you know what I mean? Not properly. Like, Colby Covington is an elite level wrestler, as is Kamaru Usman. They're both elite level wrestlers, but who is to say that Colby Covington can't take him down? That's the question I would pose. Colby Covington's at least got to try. He can try and take him down, and if he succeeds, wow, what then? Do you know what I mean? If he succeeds and takes him down and just, works him on the floor, that's going to tire Kamaru Usman out. The key to this fight for Colby Covington is to set a pace Kamaru cannot match. Because I think that out of the two of them, pace-wise, Colby Covington can probably set a higher pace than Kamaru Usman, right? I'm not saying Kamaru Usman's cardio is in question, but he usually dictates the pace of a fight and his cardio holds up that way. But Colby Covington can push a frenetic pace when he mixes in the takedowns. He has to do that. He has to mix in the takedowns. That being said, that power that Kamaru Usman's got, the punch that he landed on Gilbert Burns, particularly impressive, because there's no way to defend it, because there's no wind-up. Where was the wind-up on that punch? It was crazy. Like, literally, his arm went from there to boop, and it was like, that's it. Do you know what I mean? You're down before you even know his arm has moved, before he's even twitched. That is scary. That is frightening. That is why I'm going with Kamaru Usman by TKO or knockout. I was feeling the decision possibly, but you know what? I feel like Kamaru Usman, his striking has come such a long way, and whilst I think Colby will try and get the takedowns, and I think that if he can get a takedown, at least mix it in, there is a way that he can win this fight. And I kind of hope that Colby wins this fight, because for the story, I feel like that's going to be far better, because you can have a rematch. And honestly, I would watch these two fight every single week, because it's entertaining in the press conferences, which is always fun. I actually tuned into the press conference yesterday for the first time in a while, because you've got these two guys kind of drawing each other. Colby Covington is gold on a microphone, absolute gold. And you know what? Enjoy him while he's here, because you'll miss him when he's gone. Like, people that kind of say, oh, he's cringeworthy, he's terrible for the sport. You will miss him when he's gone, because he is at least entertaining, and that is why he's in this fight, and that's why he deserves to be in this fight. And I cannot wait to watch this one. So yeah, putting all those together on one bet slip, you've got the Michael Chandler KO, the Frankie Edgar by any means necessary, either fighter to win by knockout, Rose Namajunas versus Zhang Weili, and you've got Kamaru Usman to win by knockout. That is absolutely terrible. 73.48 to 1. Banging that on the bet slip. It's just a little bet, just to add a little bit of spice to the fights. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of these fights. So I will be wrapping these picks up on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. I haven't quite decided yet. I like to keep you on your toes, but yeah, we'll see if any of them came off. We'll see which ones I was happy with. We'll see what the hell happened in this event, and that will be on Tuesday or Wednesday. So until next time, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.